Hi, today we're reviewing the IRIX Macro rail, the manual rail that was just released by the company. Before we start, a little disclaimer. I'm not paid for this review, so this is going to be my honest opinion, but I work with IRIX as their ambassador for macro photography. Therefore, they sent me the rail for evaluation and to do this review. So let's step into my office and see what the features of the rail are. Let's go. Welcome to my new garden office. Beautiful day on the French Riviera. It's springtime now. Things are starting to bloom. Perfect time to do a review of a macro rail. Let's look at the features of the rail first. Packaging, it comes in a nice box, nothing special. There's a little pouch included. And the rail comes also with this new IRIX gadget, which is the Arca plate keyring. The rail itself is 180 millimeters long. It's made of high quality aluminum, I suppose. The bottom is actually an Arca plate format. Little feet that can unscrew if you don't need them, or if you want to place this on a flat surface, you can remove this. Couple of knobs to move the rail back and forth, smaller one, larger one, so this should be pointing towards you because you got more grip on the larger one. There's a scale on the side, and there's a little marker here, metal marker, which lets you sort of see where you are on the rail, on the scale, and adjust your position if needed. A very nice feature of this rail is this. There's a spring-loaded knob that blocks the rail, so if you don't want it to move after you set it up in place, well, you can use this to tighten the sliding plate here and stop the movement, so no more sliding. What I think is an extremely nice feature is this. The rail comes with an integrated Arca plate holder, which is here. And there's a little knob here. If you undo this, you can rotate the Arca plate. Means that you can choose the angle. And if you want to move the rail front to back like this, or you set it this way, and then suddenly you decide you want to use it as a as a rail to adjust the position of your camera sideways, well, just rotate 90 degrees, okay? And then tighten the knob. That's extremely convenient. An important thing on every rail is the pitch. The pitch means how many millimeters you're going to advance when you turn the knob 360 degrees, full turn. So if I do this, after unlocking of course, if I rotate this completely like this, that's the pitch. My Arca plate holder moved. In this case, I measured it. The pitch is probably 1.27 millimeters. That's fairly standard for this kind of rails. Other rails on the market have the same pitch. I forgot to say that the movement is very smooth. This is IRIX made, so of course it's very, very high quality. There's nothing shakes when you move the rail. It's important, and the movement of the knob is very precise. I don't feel much backlash. Backlash is what happens when you turn, and then when you stop turning, there's a bit of play in your plate. So obviously here, there's no backlash, it's very tight, so the movement control is very precise. I've been using for a while this old Manfrotto 454, and that's a good rail, but there's definitely backlash here. It's not very tight, as you can see, the movement of the screw, and you know, there's a bit of play here and there. Also, you have to add a plate under and a plate on the top, which means more wiggle room, and so that's not great. The more you add, the more unstable is your system. The only thing that's good with this one is that there's an unlocking system that lets you slide the plate quickly like this to quickly adjust your position. I think that was a nice feature on the Manfrotto. Unfortunately, the IRIX doesn't have this. If you want to move like, let's say 4 or 5 centimeters, well, you have to turn until you get to the desired position. But you can also untighten your Arca and just slide it, which has pretty much the same effect. So, you know, not a big difference. And this one is actually heavier too with all the plates, so, you know, the more weight to carry. All right, now that we've seen the features of the rail, let's go and set it up in the garden and see how it's best used. So the first use of macro rail is positioning. Positioning means positioning your camera related to a subject and adjusting your framing. In this case, the peach tree flowers there, the pink ones, I want to get them in the, let's say, right part of my frame. So first of all, I'm setting up my camera with the IRIX 150, and then I'm going to unlock the rail here, and I'm going to shift it left and right by releasing the Arca system. So I have my gross adjustment. I can frame my flowers the way I want them in the final image, release this, lock it, so it's locked in place. And now I'm going to do fine adjustment with the knob going sideways. I'm at about a ratio of 1 to 10, so the knobs here don't have a lot of impact on the final adjustment. But if you're close to 1 to 1, then you have a lot of movement because you move 1 millimeter and it shifts your frame a lot. So that's extremely useful when you go into high magnification. If you do a lot of macro, especially at high magnification, a great thing is to have 2 of these rails because you can set them crosswise, so you have adjustment in the X-axis and then in the Z-axis. That's very, very useful when you want to do focus stacking, for example, on small subjects. You have very precise adjustment of your framing, and then you can start your series of images. So I highly recommend that you actually get 2 rails if you want to do this kind of image. It will make your life easier. And another good point is, not that I want to push you into buying several of the IRIX rails, but I think this one is great because the Arca is completely integrated. So it means that if you set up 2 rails, 2 of these rails, because the Arca plate here is integrated and also the bottom is an Arca format, you don't have to add Arca plate holders and Arca plates, etc. on top of one or the other, which means wiggle. And wiggle is really bad when you want to do high magnification macro or video. Okay, I got my favorite assistant with me again today. The other use, of course, for a macro rail is for focus stacking. That means adjusting your plane of focus to get a series of images that then you're going to assemble to get the whole subject in focus. And we're going to try to do this, okay, without the cat. So I have to turn my setup now and put my camera in the axis of the rail. And as you can see with this, very smooth, very convenient, very quick. Now I'm going to try and shoot this flower, and I want a series of images, so I'm going to frame. And then I simply have to move my rail back and forth until I get all my images in the stack. So back to the office for the final words. This is a great rail. IRIX products are characterized by their quality, so this doesn't deviate from that. A word of caution, not all Arca plate holders are made the same, and you can see here at the end there are 2 tiny hex screws which are meant to prevent sliding back and forth. Those, for example, didn't fit into my tripod Siri head, so I had to remove the screw. So maybe plan for some adjustment. Only one thing I think could have been better with this rail is the knob. Okay, my only criticism is this: to have precise stacking, you have to sort of know the size of your steps. So you have steps of equal size and your stack in the end will be much better. It's difficult to measure precisely your displacement using only the scale on the side. And so I suggest you do one thing: you mark with a pen lines here, maybe 4, you know, at 45-degree angles on the knob, so you know how much you turn. Okay. You can do something else, which I did with my Manfrotto rail, which is here. I modified it. I used a plastic ring which I force inserted onto the knob like this, and you see it has markings, and this allows me to decide precisely how much I want to move the rail back and forth. For example, 1/4 of a turn, and I know exactly how much distance that is because I know the pitch. But other than that, I can find no defect with this. And last, IRIX, I think at the time of this video, is selling this as a combo, and also including this, and for a good price. So you can get the whole rig with the lens and the rail together on the IRIX store. Okay, see you for the next video.